Sheikh Hasina steps down, a nation in turmoil. Bangladesh witnessed a seismic political shift as Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina announced her resignation. This unexpected move sent shockwaves through the nation. The streets of Dhaka, usually bustling with life, were overtaken by uncertainty and apprehension. Hasina, a towering figure in Bangladeshi politics, had led the country for over a decade. Her sudden departure left a void at the helm, raising questions about the future of Bangladesh. The nation held its breath. What led to this drastic decision? The answer lay in the widespread protests that had engulfed the capital city, Dhaka. These demonstrations, fueled by deep-seated grievances, shook the foundations of Hasina's government and ultimately forced her hand. The world watched as Bangladesh grappled with this political crisis, its fate hanging in the balance. Dhaka erupts protests and the flight for safety. Dhaka, the heart of Bangladesh, became a scene of chaos and unrest. Thousands took to the streets, their voices rising in unison against the government. The protests were a visible manifestation of the simmering discontent among the populace. What began as peaceful demonstrations quickly escalated into violent clashes with law enforcement. The situation in Dhaka deteriorated rapidly. Fearing for her safety amidst the escalating violence, Sheikh Hasina made the difficult decision to flee the country. This desperate act underscored the severity of the crisis and the very real threats to her well-being. The world watched in disbelief as the leader of a nation was forced to seek refuge from her own people. Fueling the fire, the quota system and public outrage. At the heart of the protests was a deeply unpopular government policy, the job quota system. This system, intended to uplift disadvantaged communities, had become a source of immense frustration and anger. Many, particularly students and young graduates, felt the quota system unfairly limited their opportunities for employment in government sectors. The quota system became a lightning rod for broader discontent. It tapped into existing anxieties about economic disparity and social inequality. What began as a focused protest against a specific policy quickly morphed into a wider expression of dissatisfaction with the government. Sheikh Hasina's administration found itself facing a wave of public anger it seemed ill-equipped to handle. The army steps in, a promise for stability. As the situation spiraled, the Bangladesh army, a powerful force in the nation's political landscape, stepped in. The army chief, in a televised address to the nation, vowed to restore order and ensure the safety of all citizens. He promised to act as a neutral force, prioritizing the well-being of Bangladesh and its people above all else. This intervention by the army was a turning point. The army chief's calm demeanor and decisive words offered a glimmer of hope in the midst of chaos. He promised new elections and a return to democratic rule, assuring the public that their voices would be heard. However, the question remained, could the army truly bridge the divides that had pushed Bangladesh to the brink? Calm after the storm. The general's plan for Bangladesh. Following Sheikh Hasina's departure, the army chief assumed control, promising a swift return to normalcy. He announced a series of measures aimed at stabilizing the situation and restoring faith in the government. These included the establishment of a caretaker government, a review of the controversial quota system, and a firm commitment to holding free and fair elections within a year. The general's plan was met with cautious optimism. While many welcomed the army's intervention as a necessary step to quell the unrest, others expressed concerns about the potential for prolonged military rule. The international community too watched closely, urging a swift and peaceful transition back to a democratically elected government in Bangladesh.